It is another very bad day for the video game industry. I am sad to report that we will never get a sequel to one of the best games ever made. There won't be a Prey 2, and there maybe won't be other games that we really wanted, maybe from studios like In Exile that did Wasteland, and maybe even Obsidian Entertainment, because it was announced today that Microsoft is making huge cuts to the studios that they purchased. They are closing Arkane Austin, which made during this year Redfall, which did very poorly, Tango Gameworks, and Alpha Dog Games. Tango made Hi-Fi Rush, which was an excellent game, and all of this proves a lot of different things, but fundamentally one idea that even if you're successful, even if you make a game that has huge critical acclaim, that will not save you from complete destruction. Microsoft had the option to divest from these studios, but instead they're choosing to literally shut them down. So this was announced, and then Matt Booty, yes, Matt Booty from Xbox Game Studios responded to these closures by saying truly one of the most evil paragraphs I think any corporate stooge could say, that these changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games and beloved worlds, which you have nurtured over many decades. Booty added that in order to double down on these franchises, Xbox Game Studios needs to look across the business to identify the opportunities. Anytime someone who is responsible for hiring and firing says opportunities, you know that shit's evil, that are best positioned for success. So all of these studios that created or helped create, especially in Arkane's case, the Dishonored titles, Prey, which like I said is one of the best games ever made. They recently closed a studio that made Roller Dome, which was phenomenal. All of those studios are being closed so that we can have more Bethesda titles like Starfield, like Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. Games that, at least for my taste, almost spit in the face of all these other games that we mentioned that do something interesting, compelling, that are not done in outdated design styles from 2006, that really offer a gaming experience that is both traditional and something we're familiar with, but wildly innovative. So this poses the question, you know, Hellblade 2 is coming out in the next month, and will Ninja Theory be closed down because that game might not do as well as a Bethesda title, which has literally billions of dollars backing it? Could we see In Exile, which again was bought up by Microsoft within the last couple of years, going out of business because their new innovative RPG systems that they're building is clearly just a tiny subset of gamers? And then finally, you know, Obsidian likes to make really interesting, compelling games that are not wildly appealing in terms of a mass market. Will Obsidian Entertainment close down because they're being forced to make an avowed sequel to a game franchise that was very different, that seemingly looks like it's for no one? We saw the exact same thing happen to Arkane Austin with Redfall, where Microsoft was pushed Arkane to create a game that was live service, that was broken and didn't work. I played through that entire game. There were some really great things in that game that were broken, I think, entirely because of the pressure from Microsoft Studios. This is hundreds of people's jobs. This is the artistic effort of an industry that is dying for innovation, that is being slowly subsumed by these major corporations that are making choices that are so one note. There was always this idea that maybe if you did really well, you would be safe. And we've seen today that that just simply isn't the case, that there is a push within the current system of development of games where it is much more important to protect the people who make money off of video games versus the artists that create them. And I don't think this would change anytime soon either. That's the more upsetting thing, is that there will be no demarcated change from this massive loss. Even if we lost Obsidian, even if we lost In Exile, This would not change the direction the industry is going, and it is another deeply upsetting day, and more upsetting because Prey 2 and what Prey offered as a video game, I think is one of the best video games, in the last 10 years. And the idea that they wouldn't get the chance to build on that and create something new that is so needed in this particular climate, all to service more poorly made Bethesda games, makes me wonder if we will still have the video game industry that we have today in the next 10 years. So I'm really interested to see what you think about this. I know this isn't some of my more typical content, but it is a dark, dark day for those of us who really enjoy those kind of classic RPGs that are not necessarily made for everyone, but have such a depth of experience that they're really seemingly made only for us. They're types of video games that are so special that got me into this industry and wanting to talk about video games, and it's deeply upsetting that they are being thrown to the fire for the absolute dreck that Bethesda is creating so that we can get more DLCs for Starfield, which is deeply important. That's why we won't get Prey 2. What do you think? Is there any way to solve this beyond a completely massive divestment from any major game development corporation and a complete restructuring of how we incentivize and pay for the development of video games?